Hello everybody, this is Jeff Janess and welcome to our 6th lab exercise in creating and editing data. Last exercise we saw how to take a table of coordinates and turn it into a real point feature class, and we're going to do that again this exercise but take it a step further. We're going to see how to take these points and turn them into polylines, so I'll show you a new geoprocessing tool for that. So for this lab exercise we're going to use another text file of a bunch of coordinates, also in that same selecting and creating data folder that we were using earlier. So let's add that data. Okay, here it is. It is trailpoints.csv. If you'd like to see what it looks like, this is the folder that we're pulling from. It's in the class GIS data, selecting and creating data. I can open trailpoint.csv in Notepad++ this time. And you see it's just a ASCII text file with all this data in it. It does have an attribute field called segment ID, and you'll see that all these ones, this is one segment of trail, then it goes to 2s and 3s. This text file is actually just an export from my GPS machine. I was riding my bike out in Walnut Canyon and Marshall Lake area and just recorded all these locations. So it's actually a good example of the kind of thing you might do with your own GPS machine. Alright, so let's take a look. We have the trail points loaded in our map. We can look at it as a table in ArcGIS Pro as well. Here's that same data. Okay, let's add some imagery to the background. We're also going to load up points of interest. This is what you made in lab exercise 5. And we're just doing that to kind of center our analysis area. All right, so I'm going to add some data. First I'm going to add that points of interest that we created last time. So get that in there. Then we're going to add some imagery, just because it looks nice. And I'm going to symbolize this as well. Okay, there's our points from lab exercise 5. Now let's go to work on our new trail points. Okay, we're going to convert it to a point feature class the same way we did before. We right click on the layer, go to display XY data. We're going to use trail points as the input. Important that the output is saved to our editor lab geodatabase. Remember that this gets turned in, so make sure you put it in editor lab. We're going to call it trail points. Save that. The coordinate system is WGS 1984 geographic coordinate system. Just hit OK. Goes to work. And there we go. There we've got all our points. We could actually, I showed you earlier it had that segment ID value, so we could symbolize these by segment ID, and you could see that the points did represent different trail segments. And of course these are just points, right? They're not actually connected up yet. But let's just do that for a little side project here. We go to symbology. We're going to symbolize by unique values this time. The unique values will be those segment ID values. Here we go. Have to hit this button to add all the values. And I'm just going to make them a little bit bigger. I'm going to turn off the all other values. I'm going to change the symbology just a tiny bit. It's a little bit bigger circles. Yeah, and I like this one a little better than the default. Okay. Then we have to tell it to use a color ramp. I'll just grab one there. Okay. And now well, those are all kind of the same color blue, aren't they? But you can tell they're different segments. All right. Moving on. We have now created our point feature class, but the next step is to turn these points into polylines. And there is a tool that can take a bunch of points, just link them all together in a polyline. And to get to that tool, we click on the Analysis tab, go to Tools. Then we can search for points to line, like I just had there. And this is the tool we're going to use. And that's a good way to get to it. The downside of this, by just typing in the name of the tool, there's you don't get to see what other tools there are. I personally like to go to the Toolboxes function, the Toolboxes tab there, and if I know where it is, I know it's in the Data Management Toolbox, and here it's in Features. Open up Features and scroll down to Points to Line, and there it is. But when I do it like that, I see all the other tools that are available, and these kind of spark ideas in my head and make me want to try different things. So by looking through the tools, I start learning more about GIS and learn new skills. So I recommend that you actually go into the toolbox. Anyway, once you've found the tool, there we go. We're going to just pull in trail points as the input feature. The output feature class will be a Polyline feature class, and we have to remember to save it to our Editor Lab geodatabase. And we're going to call it Trails. Okay. The line field, this is what separates all of the points into little groups of line vertices, is segment ID. And we don't need a sorting field. We could have one if we wanted to, but the points are already in the right order just because of the way the GPS gathered them, so we don't need to sort it. We also don't want to close the line. Closing the line means you take the last vertex and connect it back to the first one, and that'd be nice if you were making polygons, but we don't need to do that here. Okay, we hit Run. Okay. It should have added it. Yep, it sure did. It's a little hard to see against that dark background. Let's turn off the trail points, and let's just re-symbolize this so it's a little easier to see. We'll symbolize it as minor roads. Why not? There we go. And these are all the trails. So if you are in the mood to go explore, this is a kind of a pretty spot back here. Fisher Point's a real pretty viewpoint looking down on Walnut Canyon. This is Walnut Canyon. You have to go, I don't know, 10 or 12 miles to the east to find a Walnut Canyon National Monument. But the rest of the canyon really is a stunning canyon. I get to it from Sam's Club. Sam's Club's right here. You just kind of go back through the forest. You can also get it from the School of Forestry over here. So anyway, just something to go explore. Oh, last steps for both of these new data sets that we made, we have to add our metadata. So we just made trail points, we just made trails. So let's edit the metadata, put our name in there. All right, I'm going to copy that. Save my metadata edits. Close that. I'm going to edit the metadata for trails. Save that. Close that. And let's just confirm that it made it in. There we go for trails and for trail points. So we're good. All right, that's all there is to it. Thanks so much.